I am Kathy Santo, and I'm here with our Tuesday, 1 p.m. No, 2 p.m. It's going to be 1 p.m., but adolescent, Facebook Live. And today we're going to talk about some pretty cool stuff. But for those of you who don't know me, I just wanted to introduce myself. Pretty much for my whole life, I've been a dog trainer, and it's truly my passion, and I've been blessed to be able to do this as an actual career. I'm also an author, a columnist. I've done loads of TV and radio appearances. I also compete in dog sports, and I train my own dogs, and I'm a wife, and I'm a mom. Did I mention I also teach and run a dog school too? Well, I do. So when it comes to understanding dog owners with busy lives who have no time to train, I feel you because I am you. But that's what my students think is so cool about training with me, because I get them. And the way I train, the way I teach them to train their dogs takes their life into consideration. So you're never going to hear me at a class say to you guys, all right, we're going to do this every day. I want to hear homework every day for an hour. It's actually more like try to fit 4 10-minute sessions in this week. I mean, if you can do more, you can do more. But you know what? I understand that life gets in the way. And a system of dog training shouldn't take you an hour every day to work on it to get results. It just shouldn't happen. So I know you might think that can't work, but trust me, you don't last in this field successfully for 3 decades and a little when you're saying things that don't work. It really does. And I have a school full of dogs and students to prove that. So it really does work. Just hang in. There are solutions to the things that are driving you crazy. So if you're like me and you have no time to train, I am going to help you flip your dog owning experience from chaotic to awesome. And we're going to focus on things that really make a big difference in a pretty short amount of time. And we start today. Now, if you're watching this and I'm telling you all these things, you're like, holy cow, I'm in the car. I can't remember everything you said. Do not worry, because in the comments below, we're going to post all of the information to get to my blog, where you're going to see a recap of what I talked about today, and you're going to be able to get this. You can also get a printable PDF, print it out, stick it on the fridge, and you can remember everything I said and work on it in those short increment 4 minutes a day sessions. So here are a list of must-dos that I do with every single puppy that comes in my life and my students' life. And it was really, really hard to pick just 10, so I might have to throw in 11 at the bottom. All right, so the first one is knowing their name and loving it. Now, I know people say, my dog knows their name. Yeah, but I think sometimes they think that their name means it's a bad thing. You may have used it in the past. Well, not you, other people you know. In a negative way, you might have said, Rover, stop it. And the dog goes, ooh, there's that word Rover. Because they don't know it's their name. Like, they don't sign documents with it, right? They just know it's a word that usually is something that is not going to be too good when you say it with that tone. So I never, never, never want you to say the name in an angry voice. And you're like, well, what am I going to say if I'm angry? Well, I'd rather you not yell at your dog. But if you had to say a name and you're irritated, maybe use one of your relatives' names. Like, I'll use my brother. No, just kidding. So, but commit to saying your puppy or dog's name and following it with something fun and rewarding. And pretty soon you're going to have a puppy who hears his name and comes running to you, which, P.S., is the foundation of the come when called exercise. So if you have a dog who, when you say his name, runs to you, guess what? You just plug in that come command, and now you actually have a recall in its beginning stages. That brings me to number 2, which is the rule of coming to me is awesome. We just talked about that, right? My puppies learn to chase me down and get what they want. So I run and I have a toy, and I run and I give them food and belly rubs, and they think running after me is awesome. And I'll tell you why that's going to work. Because one day your puppy's going to run away from you or your dog, and it's going to be an accident. Nobody expected it. And your instinct is going to be run at them, which is wrong, because when you run at them, they're like, ooh, the chase me game, and they run harder and faster. This actually happened to me. I was at my vet's office, Jill Schiffman, yay, she's awesome. And I took my puppy out of the car and I put her on the ground, and the buckle collar wasn't correctly connected, and it fell off her. And she took a beeline for, of course, the main road. No, not towards the vet office, the main road. So I immediately said her name and ran to the office, which is a big risk, right? You're running away from your dog who's running into traffic. She heard her name, she whipped around, and she came racing to me, and I scooped her up, and we made sure that her collars were always much better buckled by the person who was supposed to do it, not me, in the first place. So that saved her life, and I promise you it will work for you as well. Now, number 3 If I grab your collar, you will earn valuable prizes. Now, I teach my students this every single day in class. When you reach for your dog's collar, what usually happens? They have a flight, a fight, a fear or bite, or woo, party time and runaway response. And we don't want that, because you are going to have to grab your dog's collar for a load of different things, starting with, I grab your collar to put your leash on, or you're about to run into something that's spilled on the floor. I can grab your collar. Or your friend sees that your dog is loose and goes to reach for them and they need to grab their collar. So if your dog doesn't say, grabbing my collar is super awesome, guess what's going to happen? You're going to try to get them and they're going to run away. So what we do is we teach them that every time I touch your collar, I'm going to give you a high value treat. And eventually we progress to hooking our finger in the collar, and then we progress to grabbing the collar. And if you were seeing some of the advanced dogs in my classes, we can reach out, we can grab their collar and drag them, and they're like, yeah, give me a yummy treat. And that's appropriate, because there's going to be times where you have to lead your dog by the collar. It's not just a matter of stopping him for a second. It's a matter of bringing him back into the house or bringing him away from something dangerous. So we want to have collar grab love, and the way you do it is you make sure if you touch the collar, something awesome is put in the dog's mouth. All right, number 4. They have to learn that life is grand. And sadly, some puppies don't actually think so, but they can be trained and converted from an, oh my goodness puppy, to a, woo, I love the world puppy, by taking them out into settings where they're going to experience some other life than their kitchen or their backyard, and giving them awesome rewards when they're out and about. So here's a good example. My puppy, Never, when she was little, she was totally flipped out by people on bikes. I don't know, it was the helmets or the speed of the bike, but she didn't like it. So what I did was, I knew where there was going to be a group of bikers, and I drove there and sat in the car with her. I took her out of her crate, put her in my lap, and she could see them. And every time they went by, I'd give her some of her breakfast. And she thought, breakfast with the cyclers is pretty cool. And eventually, not that same day, because people think eventually means 5 minutes later, and it doesn't. Eventually, when I saw her sitting on my lap and being, oh, hey, bikers, how you doing? Then I knew I could go to the next step. And the next step was stepping out of the car, sitting on the ground with her in my lap, and having her by the bikers. We progressed that, and it took a while. Probably a week or 2, which I know is longer than you want things to take, but it's dog time, not our time. So we have to give them the opportunity to work through these things. And eventually now, when she sees the guy on a bike or anybody on a bike, she's like, oh, hey. And then she looks at me, where's my cookie? So I've conditioned her to expect food when she sees that. So it went from super scary to super awesome. And now I think when we go on a walk, she actually hopes that people with bikes drive by. All right. Number 5 is a biggie. You control the rewards. Teach your puppy that he can have anything, meals, treats, toys, play with you, by earning them through self-control. And this is a really big deal. We had a class this morning, and I guess we were about 20 minutes into it, and one of the dogs wanted water. And he saw the water bowl, and he started to pull, and the owner walked behind him. And I said, oh, no. See, because unless your dog was on the desert for a week and not getting any water, we would not let them drag you to a water bowl, because it's no different dragging you to a water bowl than it is dragging you to the house or towards another dog. So I want the dog to understand that if they want something and they pull you, they won't get it. So what we simply did was we took the collar, because the dog knew collar grab, backed the dog up a few steps, took our hand out of the collar, and waited to see what the dog's decision would be. This dog decided, I'm going to pull for the bowl again, so he did it again. And this time we backed up more than 2 steps. We backed up, 6 or 7. And the dog, you could see the aha moment go, the more I pull, the farther I get away from what I want. So the next time we took a step, and the dog took a step and then looked. And then we took another 2 steps, and the dog looked. So eventually, when we got close to the bowl, I said, all right, release her to the bowl. And she said, okay, get it. And the dog did. Now, this dog has a history of learning impulse control. So it wasn't a new concept for the dog. So when you start out on your impulse control, you'll do something far less exciting than a giant bowl of water. At least to this dog, it was really super exciting. All right, number 6, speaking of bowls, I'm better than your meal bowl. And every day I hear stories from students about how excited their dogs get at mealtime. Woo! When they take out the bowl. And I think, don't you want your dog to be that excited about seeing you? I mean, you're giving him his food in the bowl, and then you're saying, hey, puppy or dog, I know there's 72 million things I want you to do for me, and currently you do none of them, but I'm going to give you everything you want in this bowl for free. That makes no sense. I mean, It does, probably because people have done that for a million years. But truly, you have to get your dog to understand that if they want something, they should do something for you. And it's going to be a cooperative effort. And I promise your dog will not hate you. Your dog is actually bred to work with people. They like doing things for you. They are contra freeloaders. Basically what that means is your dog is far happier doing something for a cookie than just getting a cookie for free. I know you don't believe it. There's a study on that. You can look it up. But they actually did research this, and your dog wants to do stuff. Because honestly, what's better for him? Earning things he wants, or having people in the house going, stop it, and acting like crazy people and fussing at him all day long? Yep, earning things. So that's what you have to do. You have to get the dog to do a sit and give them some food. You have to take that food and not give it to him all at once. You have to take that food, put it in your treat pouch, take him for his morning walk, have him earn what he wants. And you know what the best part is? The relationship you have with the dog is going to be awesome, because the dog is going to say, I really like being with you because I can earn valuable prizes. That's how it should be, not like it is now. Okay, next. Number 7, love your crate. I think this is probably one of the most overlooked parts of puppy ownership. And that is the need for the puppy to nap. Even rescue dogs, when you bring them into your house, they're so stimulated by the environment, and people think, oh, they're not a puppy, they don't need naps. Well, they kind of do, because everything's new to them, and they're excited and they're exhausted, and it's just a lot of new. So I will make sure that my puppies and my older dogs do get nap times, especially when things are chaotic, like, oh, hello, the holidays, when things are really chaotic. So if my puppy or dog learns to take naps in the crate, when there's people in the room or in the house, they're not going to be the dog who's screaming and barking and spinning in the crate when I have company and we're eating dinner, because they already understand the concept of being crated, even if it's not nighttime or I'm not leaving the house. So I always put good stuff in the crate, like a frozen Kong. Believe it or not, if you go on the Kong Toy website, they have a recipe section. Yes, people actually make Kong recipes. And I happen to know one, not that I've made it. It's a little bit of pumpkin, a little bit of my dog's kibble, a little bit of pumpkin, some peanut butter, maybe some applesauce. You can stick a few bones in there and then freeze that sucker for about 36 hours. You can do 24, but I like a nice hard freeze, especially if I have company over. And my dogs love going into the crate because they say, I can't wait to see what she's going to give me. Because these things that they love so much only show up in the crate. They don't show up in normal rotation, because it wouldn't be special if they got that stuff all during this day around the house, right? Yeah, save it for what you want to add value to. Next, number 8. Oh, so important. Dogs are fun, but I'm funner. I know it's not a real word, but it worked here. Now, my dogs love other dogs, but they love me more. And a truer statement is that they find me more rewarding than anything else. And that's because I showed them how much fun they could have with me before I let them free play with other dogs. So go back and remember rule number 1 and number 2, and put those concepts into your daily life. It is super, super important. I remember the first time my puppy was playing with her brother, Jack, or, her friend Mello, the corgi, when they were puppies together. They were playing, and I said, no. And she was like, please leave a message after the beep. I'm playing with my friend now, so I don't know what you want from me. Yeah, it was just like that. See, my puppy doesn't know I'm Kathy Santo, so she still does naughty things and does just what every normal puppy would do. Although we do say she's a crazy alien puppy. So that's for another Facebook Live. But I moved her away from Mello. I popped her on a long leash. And then when I asked her to come the next time and she didn't, I brought her to me. And then I didn't let her play with Mello the next trip. I let her be near Mello, and then she was able to come. So I figured out at what point she could succeed, made it easier for her, and then made a little mental note in my Evernote saying, must work on this more. Yeah, and we did a lot. All right, number 9. Ooh, this is a good one. It's a phrase that my friend Elizabeth came up with. And what she likes to say is, good people bring good things. And what she's talking about is when she goes to people's houses. And if someone has a dog, she always has an extra special high-value treat, cleared by the owner, of course, that she gives the dog when she comes in. Of course, if the dog is jumping on her, she doesn't give him the treat. She waits for a sit, and she does tell her friends that I'm going to come over with this, and they set it up in advance so everybody's on board with the program. But basically what it's teaching the dog is calm behavior earns a treat. It's an awesome way to not only create calm behavior when guests come in, but have your dog have an optimistic view of people who come in the house, and they're thinking, hey, if I just sit, I get a cookie. And you know what? For a beginner stage of training and a puppy stage, that is totally appropriate. I know some people are like, oh my God, stop with the food. But listen, Food is currency to a dog. What else are you going to use? Compliments? Really? Not in the beginning, at least. It's like if you went to work today and your boss said, hey, guess what? We're going to do away with that paycheck thing, but I'm going to tell you, you look nice a lot. That wouldn't work for you. It doesn't work for the dogs either. So it could be food. It can also be tug and play and games like that. We want to make sure that the dog thinks that you're super interesting and super rewarding, and so are people who come into your house. Okay. Next, number 10, drum roll. All right, doorbell and knocking equals run to your bed for cookies. So super early on in training, I pair the sound of a doorbell to a reward when my puppy runs to a mat. And I start with a recording of my doorbell. And it's on my phone, and I play it after the puppy goes to the mat. So what happens is I say mat, the puppy goes, I ring the doorbell and feed. And eventually the puppy starts to say, when I hear that sound and I run to my mat, I get a cookie. And they start doing it even before I say the word mat, and then eventually they just understand it, and it's awesome. My friend Allison, hey Allison, if you're listening, we taught her dog Murphy to go to place on Santo doorbell, and took us maybe a week or two. And he hears the doorbell, and I have a video, I should post it. And he says, oh my God, it's the doorbell sound. And he races into the living room, around the couch, jumps on his bed, and he's super, super proud of himself. And even in her chaotic household, she has 4 children, so you can imagine, when the doorbell rings, the dog is the only living creature in the house that's nice and calm. Good job, Allison. Of course, then she moved, right? So new doorbell, we had to retrain it. Didn't take that long, but it is still a super awesome thing to teach your dog. All right. So I said I probably couldn't keep it at 10, and I really can't. So we're going to do number 11. Number 11 is my favorite game of all time to teach my dogs, and it is tug. Tug won't make your puppy aggressive. No, you won't have to always win. No, you won't rip things from your hand and off your body. But what he will learn is self-control, because tug teaches your dog an on and off switch, like, ooh, party time, and ooh, okay, I'm not going to tug anymore until you tell me. And that switch is important because it's exactly what you need when company comes to your house, right? Your dog is crazy and you're like, sit, 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 sit. And you're like, I'm sorry, the dog doesn't listen when other people are around. Well, you need them to listen when other people are around. I know they're a sitting savant in the kitchen when you're holding a cheese stick, but the key to having all your training work is to teach your dog to be crazy and then calm, and then crazy and then calm. And we do that by teaching the tug game. Forget all the myths you've heard about tug. It is really a super awesome game, and all the dogs should learn how to play it. So there you have it. Instant game-changing ideas to bring your dog chaos under control pretty quickly too. So I'll be back next week where I'll talk about 10 things to make your daily walk a lot better. Download your PDF, print it on the fridge, and make sure you get training, because you know what? The holidays are coming. I know, scary thought. All right, guys, have a great week, and I'll see you soon.